Hey, I'm Justin Marville, and I apparently am entering the war zone.
Let's get ready to rumble. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Hey yo, it's Phil Flames. I'm with Mike on the mic and Joe Morley. About to bring you more heat. Welcome to the war zone. You can have a floor seat. Watch them on your iPhone. Watch them on your Galaxy. It's a sports debate show. Straight up out of SoCal. Gather around the laptop. Friday nights it goes down. And we on the radio. Coming to your locale. Got into the third round. Better bring the smoke now. Step into the war zone. 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 Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone. Step into the 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 war zone. Friday night war zone. Friday night war zone.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the War Zone. You guys already heard. You guys already know who our guest is, and it's our first guest on the Warzone Sports Network. This episode of the Warzone, or Welcome to the Warzone, is now officially part of the Warzone Sports Network, and we're bringing in Justin Marville. You guys know him from Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. He's everywhere. This guy, you guys already see what he's wearing. Green Bay Packers stuff, right? Green Bay Packers all the way. So he's used to losing right before getting to the championship.
I did not see that coming.
What's going on, Justin? How you doing?
I did not see that coming, Joe, but I should have. So I'm going to take that because I think the last time you were on my show, I gave you crap about the Raiders. So I'm going to take that. But it's going great other than what promises to be a sucky off season, I guess. I don't know.
I'm excited because we get to talk about that bad man down there in Wisconsin.
And if you guys watch the show, you guys know Mike loves Aaron Rodgers. I don't know where Aaron Rodgers lives more in Mike's head or Brian Bolstead of Sports head, but he's living in people's heads. But you guys already know how we do this. But before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And remember, this is the Warzone Sports Network, the brand new network bringing you great entertainment. And we got Justin here, and we're going to talk. And I have to say this because this is my favorite line, and my son's probably watching, and everybody who watches TikTok, everybody does it. This is my friend Justin, and he's cracked at talking sports, my guy.
I love that. I wish you had actually introduced me that way, but I must say I have to get Mike on the show now because we've had you, but now that I know Mike is a big Aaron Rodgers fan, oh my God, forget Joe. Like, we're bringing Mike almost every week. Like, you know, like how First Take brings on like Kendrick Perkins almost every day. We're gonna bring Mike every week. Sorry, Joe. Like, you've been
I will put the disclaimer in there, Justin. I am a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but that does not mean I'm a big Packers organization fan, which I'm sure we're about to get into a little bit.
Oh. Well, I am even less of an organization fan than you are. Trust me.
We can get into it right now with topic number one. What can we expect from the Packers this season?
Where do I start? Oh, we were talking about it off camera, so I'm like already jaded at this conversation. But so, you know, Joe, we were going back and forth about Packers, and I used to like grill you that you hate the Packers. And why it was so big about last season is because I knew that was a team that had to win because it is not going to be as good going forward. And in that, I say we have so many pending free agents that likely we're not going to bring back. And number one, you have to start with Aaron Jones, one of the most underrated running backs in the league, as far as I'm concerned, especially when you're talking about dual threat running backs. We all by now know you don't pay running backs big money and expect to win. So we were hoping to win with him on a rookie contract. I'm already hearing rumors that Miami's going to pay him big dollars, and I hope in the best. I really wish him the best because he is a great player, a great locker room guy. There's no way Green Bay is going to pay him the money that he deserves or he wants. So he is as good as gone. And I can understand it from an organizational perspective. Like, we have so many different needs, and running back is definitely not a priority in anyone's league, especially when you look at a scenario where, like, you know, Aaron Rodgers is going to want to be paid among the highest paid quarterbacks. Devontae Adams, he has 1 year left on his contract. So we have some obviously more important needs. And we already have Jamal Williams. Probably he's a free agent as well, but we're probably going to pay him because you don't have to pay him as much. And we drafted A.J. Dillon, which I thought at first was a bad draft last season, but now I understand it because they knew they couldn't afford Aaron Jones. But the second free agent that really puzzles me is our all-pro center, Corey Linsley. And I'm not sure if y'all heard the news this offseason, but he recently released that or revealed we have not spoken to him since the end of the season. Like, since we lost to Tampa Bay, the Green Bay Packers have not been in conversation with this guy, other than probably the exit meetings. And this is an all-pro center. This is not a Pro Bowl center. This is an all-pro center who, by PFF, and take that for whatever you want, has graded him the best center by a mile in not only pass protection, but in run blocking schemes. How are you letting this guy test free agency, and not just test free agency, but walk away? I don't know. I've been talking long. I don't know if you guys want to get in here and interrupt me at some point.
I know Mike's happy because I don't know if you saw his page.
I've heard of a team that plays in a city close to me that needs a center pretty bad and has a lot of cap space. I'm not going to say any names because I know Joe is a little touchy on the topic. I am wearing their jersey. I will say that.
I was just to say, is it a coincidence that you may or may not be wearing their jersey?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a coincidence, maybe. But we did get Brian Bulaga off the Packers last offseason. I think that it would be a perfect pickup for the Chargers to go and get him if the Packers let him go, which, from the sounds of it, is almost guaranteed at this point. I thought it was still up in the air a little bit more than what you just said. But as far as the Packers offseason, like you're saying, there just isn't much that they can do. They can add small pieces here and there. Maybe they can be aggressive in the draft. But really, as far as the cap space is going to be a problem after you have to re-sign Aaron Rodgers, because you're going to have to try and go after Devontae Adams during the entire season pretty much, or even into next off season. I don't know, man. It just sucks because I feel like this last season was Green Bay's chance to go all in, to put all the chips in and go for it. And they didn't. They drafted a quarterback for the future. And like you said, the A.J. Dillon move makes sense now, but really, can you find a running back this offseason? You still could have found a running back this offseason and use that to either help out the defense or help out the offense. Just, they should have went all in. They should have went balls to the wall. And that's what Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, and it paid off. And I think that's going to cost the Packers.
Doubling back quickly to Corey Linsley, what I will say, if I'm going to be a bit fair to the organization, which I'm typically not, he is 29, turning 30. He has a bit of an injury history. I think he missed, I want to say, 3 games towards the tail end of the regular season. And what helps in their favor is that second-year guard, I think he'll be third year by next season, Elton Jenkins, has proved so versatile along that lane. During the games that Corey Linsley missed, he filled in at center, moved from left guard, and he is not an all-pro, but a Pro Bowler. And it's like we didn't miss a beat, at least not at the center position. So that tells me, I guess, they're saying, well, we can either draft Linsley's or the same Elton Jenkins' replacement for cheap. And, maybe we'll not miss a beat by keeping Elton Jenkins at our full-time center, teaching the position some more, and we'll go forward. But yeah, Mike, you're correct. Like, this was the season because, as Aaron says, like, going into every season, the teams have changed. Even if the core remains the same, you're never going to get back the same team. And from the looks of it, Aaron Jones is gone, Corey Linsley is gone, and these are Pro Bowlers that we're talking about. Mercedes Lewis, that is up in the air. His production is not great, but he is regarded as one of the best locker room guys you can have around the NFL, like a guy who, will spirits high and also teach the rooks what they need to know. He may be gone. Robert Tonyan, the tight end that led all tight ends in touchdown receptions this last season and was a Pro Bowler for whatever reason, I don't know. He is a restricted free agent as well. And you're just going to miss so many parts. And then to get under the cap, we're going to have to cut. Well, sorry, we've already cut Rick Wagner. We've already cut Christian Kirksey. And I suspect, and this is maybe a big news for you guys, but I suspect that we're going to cut Preston Smith as well to get under the cap.
Yeah, because looking at their cap space right now, after they just cut Kirksey and the other guys, they're at what, 11 million over. Depending on where the cap's going to be, they could save a couple, but as of right now, the cap is projected to be 180 million to get there. And like you said, looking at it, Preston Smith would probably be the one guy they do, because if they give him the designation after June, it's $12 million off the cap. So right there, it puts them back in great standing. Then you got to wonder what they're going to do. We had an episode last week with the Warzone where I talked to Joe Skirdo, and Mike and I were talking about our most intriguing free agents, and mine was Aaron Jones, because I think Aaron Jones is a great running back. I think he's a top 10 running back at least in the NFL, maybe even higher. But say he goes to Buffalo, and then that was before the Miami stuff came out. But so Miami's an interesting place for him. But I was thinking Buffalo, Atlanta. So there's going to be multiple teams going after him. So Green Bay, yeah, you without having any money to spend, you're done. And so you got to wonder how many of these other people they're going to go and talk to. Are they going to talk to Ladarius Smith? Are they going to talk to Devontae Adams? And some of these guys, are they going to talk to Aaron Rodgers and maybe extend it past, a couple years and change it up and lower some money here and there so they can have more money? But the Green Bay Packers have never been that team that goes out and spends a lot on the free agent market. So we're asking them to do something they never do.
But here then is a problem. So as you're correct, from the days of Ron Wolf in the early 90s, I want to say Ron Wolf came on in either 1990 or 1991. It always been, he has been draft and develop. Although, to be fair, his two greatest players he brought in were basically the first ever big free agent in Reggie White, and then he traded for Brett Favre. The rest is history, as we all know. But after that, his philosophy has always been draft and develop. And then a scout that came, and what? No, you would figure that I am like most people who want to hear a big name like J.J. Watt coming, woohoo, 3-time defensive player of the year, etc. Probably, if I had to put a percentage on it, I'd say I'm 55% sure that he's coming. Because when you look at it, one, he's from Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. He is a former Wisconsin Badger. Then he listed 3 reasons that teams must match for him to come. He said, first, you have to be on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl. The Packers have been to back-to-back NFC title games. You have to have a great quarterback. Well, I don't have to go any further. And then he wants his money. And I'm like, all right, I'm with you on it too, but your money, what does your money entail? A veteran's minimum? Sure, yeah. We have your money for you.
Yeah, Packers can give you 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. But, that third one's.
And then I'm hearing our general manager, Brian Gutekunst, is basically trying to. The reason he is cutting these guys is not just to get under the salary cap, is to find money to pay J.J. Watt. And I'm like, you were aggressive in a draft when you should have been, but now you're going out after a guy who has missed basically, I want to say, combined 3 seasons over the last, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, it could have been worse. It could be worse. Like, your problem right now is J.J. Watt. If the Packers get J.J. Watt or not. Earlier in the offseason was, are we going to lose Aaron Rodgers? Now, are you happy and you feel good that he is your quarterback? He's not going anywhere. He's staying there. Because that was the major news, like a month ago?
So let me address that. And typically things that are said do carry weight. So I don't want to say that the comments are overblown or taken out of context. Because I'm sure at some point we'll talk about Russell Wilson, because there is a lot more to what's going on than people want to accept. With Aaron's case, however, I think it was him not wanting to leave more so than him speaking truthfully. And that's why he had those appearances on Pat McAfee's show, because he wanted to give people insight into person who he is and be able to speak freely where he thought he couldn't do so in other forums. And reality is, I think he was just basically saying he has no control over his own situation. He doesn't have a no-trade clause like Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. And then he watches the organization draft a quarterback in the first round. And not only draft him, move up in the draft to get him.
Yeah.
So I think he's basically saying, for him to say, I am definitely going to be back with the Packers, that is not for him to say because he's not in a position of control. However, I knew that the Packers will never let him walk like that. Well, sorry. After the offseason in drafting Jordan Love, I knew basically Aaron Rodgers is there to stay. I'm not sure. I'm sure I've asked Joe this question, so I'm going to ask you this, Mike. The Packers have played 16 regular season games since drafting Jordan Love. They've also played 2 postseason games. Would you like to crack a guess at how many games Jordan Love, not played, was active for?
I'm going to guess below 5. Is it 0?
Okay. Yeah, take a guess, Joe.
I know you asked me this before and I forgot, but I'm gonna. I don't know, 4 or 5. I'll say 4 too.
Yeah, no, sorry. Might get it nail on the head. It was 0.
Jeez.
Jordan Love was so bad that he could not even make the roster as a backup quarterback. And Tim Boyle, for those who don't know, is our backup quarterback. And you can't beat him out for a spot. So it shows me that the scouting process was just terrible because when you look at his final season in college, this should not have shocked you. This is the guy that threw for 17,
Exactly. Yeah.
not 7, not 10, 17 interceptions in his final season in college. Then he comes in what limited offseason we have. And it felt like he threw even more interceptions. Like every single practice session, it was interception after interception to the point that he was unplayable.
Unless you're just underrating Tim Boyle. Maybe Tim Boyle is just some bad dude over there sitting behind Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, that's
you
why
never know.
That's why everyone was so confused when they made the pick, because you could tell from watching their senior years the gap between Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jordan Love was not 10 picks away from each other. That gap was 4 rounds away from each other. You know what I mean? So that was a huge reach by the Packers, and it looks like it's not going to work out. I think it was a waste of a pick. The Packers could have gone ahead and helped them out with a really, really one of the better wide receiver 2. Could have been one of the better wide receiver 2s in the league. Whichever one of those rookie wide receivers they would have picked there. It didn't even have to be Justin Jefferson or anyone in specifics. All of them were probably going to be more consistent than the wide receiver 2 the Packers had. They could have helped out the defense. At the trade deadline, I was sitting there saying, what are the Packers doing? Because we saw Desmond King go for a 6th round pick. You couldn't give up a 5th round pick for a guy who just made the Pro Bowl the season before. We saw a couple different linebackers go. Quan Alexander went to San Francisco, right? That's the team that you probably are looking at in the next couple of years competing with you in the NFC, and you guys let him go for, I think it was like a 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick. Like, these guys were not expensive, and now they're not superstar players. They're going to completely change everything. But come the end of the season, come playoff time, when you got to play this super stacked team in Tampa Bay, those guys could have made a huge difference. And we saw Kevin King get toasted over and over again. If you have Desmond King, I think Desmond King might have stood a better chance.
Do not mention that name. They'll let you continue making that point. But there are certain households in mine. I live in Barbados and in Wisconsin that you are not allowed to say. So you can continue making the point, but do not use the KK again, please.
I think the moral of the story really for me is that the Packers as an organization had at least 5 or 6 chances to improve their chances of at least advancing to the Super Bowl. And they passed on all of those. And that kind of, to me, was setting them up to have a repeat of the previous year and go down in the NFC title game. And that's kind of what I was looking at. The roadmap of once I saw how the playoffs were shaping, even though they were going to get the 1 seed and everything like that, I had that in the back of my mind. Like, they kind of set themselves up to run out of gas when they need the gas.
And Justin, I don't know if you know this, but Aaron Rodgers watches this show. Aaron Rodgers is a big fan of the Warzone Sports Network. He's always watching. So congratulations, Aaron Rodgers, on your engagement coming up.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's not the only ring that you can get. Justin's hoping you get one more ring for him and the Green Bay Packers, but the way he's looking right now, it's not coming. It's not coming. Okay. Before we go on to the next topic, let me ask you this one. Even if Green Bay would have knocked off Tampa Bay and went to the Super Bowl, could they have stood a chance against those Chiefs?
I have to say, as a Packers fan, I like my chances. I'm entitled to say. I have to say that. We don't have the front seven that Tampa Bay does, obviously, to impact the game. And this is a shout out to my guy Brian Bolster. Tom Brady did not win the Super Bowl for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was that front seven. Let me repeat. Tom Brady did not win that Super Bowl. It was the front seven. So can we take advantage of the absence of Eric Fisher, their starting right tackle, and the issues they had at center to the level that Tampa Bay did? Probably not. But at the same time, obviously, we don't have to deal with Tampa Bay's front seven when we get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So does Kansas City defend us? No. Because that game turns into a shootout. Mm-hmm. And I'm not telling you I'm here going to beat Kansas City in a shootout, but I have to like my chances because there's one thing that we can do that they don't do well or they don't want to do, and that is time of possession. Mm-hmm. Because everyone sees the stats from Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams, forgetting that the Packers are still a run-first team. When you look at all the coaches under that Mike Shanahan coaching tree, Kyle Shanahan, Shawn McVay, Matt LaFleur, they all run that zone running scheme and run the football first. That's what we do. And as such, the Packers led the league in time of possession. So what we could have done was keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline for a lot longer than most teams do. They can't stop the run. We can run it. Obviously, we have Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and Jamal Williams. And I'm not telling y'all guys I guarantee a victory, but I like my chances against Kansas City.
Oh, no, I'm taking it that way. You guys heard it right now. This Justin Marville says Green Bay Packers would have whooped the crap out of the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl if it would have gone down. So
give me that hot take.
Anybody with a time machine, go back, let the Green Bay Packers beat the Tampa Bay, and let's have that Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, well, if you look 2 weeks prior, before Tampa Bay they destroyed Kansas City. It wasn't even close. 2 weeks prior, Green Bay gave them a real run for their money to a chance where you actually had a chance to win the game in a game that Aaron Rodgers was one of the worst offensive performances I've seen from the Green Bay Packers offense all year, probably in the last 2 years. Honestly, kind of just all fell apart at once because Tampa didn't play a clean game against Green Bay. They turned the ball over just as much. They struggled offensively just as much. And Green Bay kept up with that super Tampa Bay team that they absolutely demolished KC. So that says something. I think we have a really good game if it was Packers versus Kansas City Chiefs.
We'll get this off of you. I know it's been a long season, a hard season. So we'll change the topic because we'll go from Aaron Rodgers. Remember Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, we can talk about that NFC. Let me get this off my chest and talk about that NFC title game. Let's get it once and for all. So you talk about that game, huh? There's so many. Let's first talk with the name that we shall not mention ever again.
Kevin King.
Who basically kind of cost that. Who basically kind of cost us that
We're
game.
talking about Kevin King?
Yes, that name.
Kevin King?
Is he on the roster?
You let Mike Evans. Oh, he's a free agent, and that's the one free agent I am not worried about signing back. Go on, show you the front door. You let Mike Evans get behind you for the first score of the game. All right, fine. You're lucky to make a play. I can almost live with that. I want to take y'all back to the first half. They were about to punt the football. Huh? They call the timeout. Tom Brady goes over and talks to Bruce Arians. I have never, guys, played a single down of football. I have never coached. My football is restricted to this show and Madden. I, with my limited football knowledge, knew that from the time they came out of that timeout, They were not looking for a quick out to get a field goal. They were looking to take a deep shot. This is Tom Brady. This is Bruce Arians. That's what they do. So I'd figure, well, they're coming to take a shot. Obviously, you're coming out in the quarters, prevent defense. Like something like at least with 2 safeties high, right? Like everyone knew. And when you look, you have 1 safety deep, and everyone is manned up on the outside. What?
Greedy.
And not only are you manned up on the outside, you have Kevin King, who just got burnt by Mike Evans on the fastest guy on the field. And a guy who was just caught looking in the backfield. And guess what? Looked in the backfield once again. Tom Brady lets him off the eyes, burns him, and basically want to say that's game.
Yeah. That's called greedy football. And I played on the defensive side of the ball, and any coaching I've experienced with was on the defensive side of the ball. And something that we always preach as defensive players is giving up 3 is no shame. Giving up 3 is a success, because the offense is the way the rules are in the NFL and in football in general, the offense is designed to score. So if you keep them from 7 and you stop them to 3, especially when you're playing Tom Brady, but this goes for all levels of football. If you're playing a good offense, it's success. So you're getting too greedy there. What they're thinking is coming up and pressing is they're going to stop them and get the ball back and try and score themselves, instead of just going ahead and saying, hey, we stopped them to 3. Because if you just back off, let them get the first down, they're going to kick the field goal.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And I even teach that to my 7 and 8 year old flag football team. You do not let the receiver get behind you.
Yep.
Give up the short stuff. Do not give up the long stuff. I'd rather you stop them than give up a touchdown. Mm-hmm. You can even get a PI, pass interference penalty, and we'll be happy with that and not giving up 7 points. But we'll move on from there. I know you got a lot more you probably want to get off your chest, and it's going to be a long off season for the Green Bay Packers fans, especially watching them not go out and get people. But just a reminder for you guys out there, you guys are watching the Warzone Sports Network. This is Welcome to the Warzone with This Just In, where you can find him on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, everywhere. You guys need to check him out. But we're going to move on. We're going to move on to another quarterback drama, some drama up in Seattle. What do you guys make of this Russell Wilson Seattle drama? Is truth to it? What do you just feel about it?
I'm gonna let Mike go first because I have a lot to say.
Okay. I think I don't think they're going to trade Russell Wilson. I'll say that straight up. But I do think that the Seattle Seahawks are in trouble. And me and Joe were talking about it on another show. I think the one that dropped Friday night is that the Seahawks don't just need to fix their offensive line. They need to fix an entire team damn near. The only place that I think that they're really strong at, where they can feel really secure, they don't have to do anything, is the wide receiver position. I think every other position and the quarterback position. I think every other position on that team could use work, and they need to add people. They need to fix people. They are far from a Super Bowl team. And the fact that they're winning 12 games, they're winning 11 games every season is directly and only because of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson leaves that team. They're the worst team in that division by a mile, by a long ways. They might be the worst team in the division right now. We'll see what San Fran does at quarterback. And I was super high on the Seahawks going into the season, and I even expected them to make a defensive move. I didn't know it was going to be Jamal Adams specifically, but I was saying in the offseason or last offseason, and the season's about to get going, they're going to make defensive moves, and this team is a contending team. And here we are a year later, and I can say it. I was wrong because they didn't make enough moves, and then they made the wrong move in trading all those picks and everything for Jamal Adams. The Seahawks are at a point right now, if you look at it, they don't have that many draft picks. They don't have that much talent on the roster. I'd say DK Metcalf is like the brightest young talent that they have. It's a lot of older guys that are aging, especially the linebacker spot. They don't really have a secondary. Their offensive line is awful. I mean, if it's any other situation other than in Seattle where you have Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, I would say let's rebuild. But like they're in this sticky spot where you're in Russell Wilson's prime still. Like, do you rebuild right now?
So here's the thing, there is a thing in journalism when you're covering people, you start to understand when rumors/stories get out, it is because a side wants these stories to get out. Mm-hmm. And there usually is a modicum of truth to most things that you hear. And I find it funny, two things. So I'm not sure if y'all guys would have seen on Twitter recently, Russell's agent came out and said, well, Russell doesn't want a trade out of Seattle. And in that same sentence, he said he doesn't want to trade out of Seattle, but here are the possible trades. There's a list of teams that we'd like to get traded to. What? And then the second and most important thing of all of this, tell me, guys, of all the reports you've seen and you've heard, have you heard a single one where the organization has flat out said, we are not open to trading Russell Wilson?
Not yet.
There has not been a single story, not a bleep, not an iota, nada. And I'm going to give you the parallel. As a Green Bay Packer fan, it's easy for me. The same context in which we brought up earlier in the show when Aaron Rodgers made the statement saying that, it's perilous offseason for everyone. We don't know who's coming back. The very next day, Gutekunst and LaFleur said, Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback going forward. We are not getting rid of it. But like they came out and categorically denied that they're looking to trade it. But you have not heard a single peep out of the Seattle organization. No, like Mike, I am not telling you that Seattle is looking or will eventually trade Russell Wilson. What I will say is this, and I shared the article with Joe. Joe said I'm rich, but I get free articles from Athletic, 3 free articles from the Athletic every month. So no, I'm not rich. I don't pay for that. It is a very troubling relationship with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson to the point, and I will make this declaration on this show so y'all can say y'all heard it here first. Both of them will not be on Seattle next season. It is going to come out after the 2021 season. It will come between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. You're going to have to choose between one or the other.
You guys heard that right there? Justin just said, boom, explosion in Seattle after this season that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are going to butt heads basically all this season. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of truth to that because who do you get rid of? And basically you just do what the Eagles did this year, right? You get rid of both of them. A lot of former players have been going on Twitter and throwing shade at the Seattle organization, and it's more towards Pete Carroll for babying him. And this is what happens. It's kind of like when you raise your kids, when you raise a spoiled little kid, and then all of a sudden it backfires in your face, right? That's how it happens. So I don't know. I agree with you because I always tell Mike, where there's smoke, there's fire, just like you said. Somebody started it. So that means there's something really, truly going on in Seattle. And it's, man, like you said, nobody's come out and said, no, Russell Wilson are the quarterback, because I think they're sitting there going, well, what can we get? They said there's a rumor out there that 1/3 of the league has called Seattle. 1/3 of the league has called Seattle, right? If you think about it,
probably more than 3 teams, probably 5 teams,
maybe a little bit more. I'm just trying to be realistic. But you can have 15 teams call. You can have half the league call you, and some of them are just doing due diligence, not even really caring. But then you break it down, and you finally have this one set. Is there a lot of people that would want Russell Wilson? Yeah. But
pretty much
some of those teams, like the Chicago Bears, like, does he make them a Super Bowl contender right away going there? I don't see it.
They don't got enough yet. No.
Some of those teams that he's linked to, Dallas, like I think Dallas was on his list. The Raiders were on his list. I just don't see it. Like, I see him being the same that he's in Seattle. So I don't see the upgrade with him. But like you said, and I've read this a lot. I've seen this a lot from Seattle fans. Most people say that Pete Carroll will be gone before Russell Wilson. And that right there is interesting to me as well, because who do you get to coach Seattle now? Like, there's a whole story, but I think it's something to watch. But I'm with you, Justin. I don't think he's leaving. I don't think anybody's leaving this offseason.
Not this offseason, but sorry.
Eventually.
And I'm going to say on the show, like, the connection here right now, my host was poor, so I didn't get to continue what I wanted to say. But the article kind of highlights the history between the two guys. And you mentioned it, Joe, the former players, primarily those of the Legion of Boom.
That's what I was just about to
kind of.
Yeah.
Yep, they gave basically Pete the side eye because apparently Pete's philosophy is all about accountability. Continues the relationship between the two to show that it kind of started deteriorating when John Schneider is kind of an aggressive general manager in terms of scouting. And what I didn't know before is that Schneider in 2017 was scouting Patrick Mahomes to the point he said that if Patrick Mahomes had fell in the first round in 2017, he would have drafted, regardless of Russell Wilson. And obviously that got back to the camp. Then in 2018, John Schneider again was aggressively scouting Josh Allen. That got back to the Russell Wilson camp, which led to him getting a no-trade clause in the contract, in the big contract extension, figuring these guys have no, I don't want to say loyalty to me, but they will not show any hesitancy to move on from me if given the right opportunity. But then here's where it gets really bad, guys, apparently. Obviously the team was built behind the Legion of Boom, playing great defense and running the football with Marshawn Lynch, not turning over the football, converting off third downs, keeping the chains moving, winning low-scoring games. This was when Russell was earning his career. Now Russell is an elite, level, probably top 3, top 4 quarterback in his league.
Mm-hmm.
He believes, apparently, that he is being held back by Pete Carroll. So then we heard the whole Let Russ Cook campaign that was started by him. Actually, he got that out there. And we saw that in the first half of this season. But then when the turnovers start coming and the losing streak started to happen, Pete Carroll was upset and he wanted to get back to Pete Carroll football, which is, again, running the football, playing great defense. So it is either before the Arizona game or it's after the Arizona game, there is this supposed meeting of minds. Him, Pete Carroll, Schottenheimer, and I think one more person with Russell Wilson in that meeting room. And Pete Carroll wants ideas as to how to fix the offense. Russell gets up, gives his ideas, and they were basically ignored. He storms out of that meeting. Literally, at the door, he storms right out.
Yeah.
Then it came to a head. Russell went to the Super Bowl with his wife, Ciara. And there he's obviously watching Tom Brady call his own plays, call his own offense, and bring his own players to Tampa Bay. And he's wondering, why can't I have that level of control within the organization? And he starts texting his coaches, his private coaches, his trainers, everybody who will listen, and he is livid. So I say all of that to say no. And remember, guys, Pete Carroll just brought in a new offensive coordinator from Sean McVay's staff. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, if you're coming from Sean McVay, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, or Matt LaFleur, you are a run-first offensive mind. That is what is coming to Seattle. There's no longer Let Russ Cook in Seattle.
Hey, Russell Wilson, what are you crying about? They let you throw the ball on the last play of the Super Bowl, and you lost the game. You do it. They should have just handed it to Marshawn. Give it to Lynch, and you would have had 2 rings right now. And now you want to cry about being a run-first offense? Doesn't that help you out? Wouldn't that help a quarterback out? Russell Wilson should want that because, man, he's running for his life. I know they need some offensive line up there, but I don't know. If all this, I hate to not take the player's side. It's not, but okay, they went and scouted Patrick Mahomes, and you found out about it, but you didn't do nothing about it. They went and scouted Josh Allen, and you didn't do nothing, but you still went and signed a new contract. So I don't get this, and it's the same thing with Deshaun Watson in Houston. If you are so upset with your organization, why are you re-signing contracts? Why are you doing this? And then sign the contract and you think it's just going to get better? It's just like those people that are having relationship problems and they go, you know what's going to make this better? Us having a kid, us getting married. It's going to be a lot better. Really, you think you think me signing a contract, Russell Wilson signing a contract and all those problems go away? Come on. That's the issue that I have. So if Russell Wilson had an issue with the way that they were doing this, he should have did it. And yeah, let Russ cook. Yeah, Russ can cook against all these bad teams like they were doing. That's how they played. They played a horrible teams at the beginning of the season. He was cooking. He was throwing 5 touchdowns. But then when you had to play, because that NFC West is one of the toughest divisions in this league, and you're not going to cook all day against it. And guess what? They know how to shut the Rams. The Rams know how to shut down Russell Wilson. And trust me,
defensive coordinator was amazing.
It's cost me a couple fantasy championships when I had Russell Wilson. And this year I said, nah, I do not want any part of Russell Wilson in fantasy football, because when it gets to the end of the season, I'm going to lose it. So, and remember all those MVP talks. Russell Wilson never had an MVP vote in his career, and I don't think he's going to get one this year unless somebody gives him some random one. But I'm with you. I think they stay together this year. But Justin, you made a great point. I think come 2022 that Seattle's going to go a whole new direction.
That Rams defensive coordinator deserves a head coaching job. That dude's awesome. I like that guy. But I think that moment where they did throw the interception on the 1 yard line, if you were making a documentary on like the downfall of the Seattle Seahawks, that moment started this. Because I firmly believe, and I've said this a few times, that the LOB probably had 2 more good years left in them when that happened, and everything kind of just fell apart from there. Earl Thomas, would have still been in his prime for 2 more years. Richard Sherman still could have been really, Richard Sherman is still really good in the NFL, but he was still in his prime then. Cam Chancellor had a couple more years, maybe 1 more year. Not as far of a lifespan with him. But that moment right there kind of set this whole split up of the Seattle Seahawks and how great that team was. And that team was great. Don't get me wrong. For those couple seasons, Seattle was the best team in football. Do not get me wrong. But that kind of set the downfall in motion. And now here we are all these years later. And something that Pete Carroll did at USC, and the reason why people who are fans of USC or just California sports in general is he created, I don't mean to curse, but he created a shitstorm. He created a fire and ran away from it. Could we see that happen in Seattle again?
I'm glad you mentioned that Super Bowl that they lost, because I'm not sure a lot of people realize since that Super Bowl, and you make a great point, Mike, that it all has spiraled downward. The Seattle Seahawks have not been back to a single NFC title game since that moment. As you said, the entire Legion of Boom is then eventually split up for whatever reason. Richard Sherman leaves. Earl Thomas has problems with the organization. Cam Chancellor has neck and shoes and is forced to retire. The only one that really remains, I guess, is Bobby Wagner. But yeah, you brought up a great point, Mike, there. It's since that moment, and it ends with Russell Wilson throwing that interception, like coincidentally enough.
Yep. So, and here we are, like over half a decade later, and seeing the effects of that one play. Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson has turmoil in Seattle. Crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I think it comes down to, that because if they win that Super Bowl, everybody's talking different about Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, because that second Super Bowl ring justifies you. But you just brought up Tom Brady, so I'm just going to go out on to topic number 3. I'm going to let Seattle simmer for a little bit.
Let Seattle simmer.
Before you get to Tom Brady, I want to say, though, because I know we have a lot of similar friends, I saw Guru put out there about relationships. So I'm going to tell you, Guru, unlike you're talking about he mentioned Will Smith and Jada working it out. And he then mentioned I want to say Jay-Z and Beyonce working it out. This relationship is not working out. So yeah, Will Smith and Jada, yes, they worked it out. And yes, the other couple, Beyonce and Jay-Z, they worked it out. And Pete Carroll will not be working out anything other than an exit strategy.
What about Kanye and Kim K? Let's talk about them. They're getting divorced.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they just announced it last
everything.
Week. Yeah.
What am I doing with my life?
Sorry, Kanye. I know Kanye watches this show. Kanye, we're sorry we brought your personal business into that. That was Mike. I hope you still become a fan and still love our show. Kanye, I don't know why Mike's bringing your personal into this.
This is what Kanye is doing right now. I'm just straight facing us.
You guys are watching the Warzone Sports Network. Welcome to the Warzone with this just in. You guys can find him, Justin Marville, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We've already hit on the Packers offseason. We talked about Russell Wilson and the drama up there in Seattle. Justin told you guys that he sees it. He sees the divorce coming. He sees both Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll gone out of Seattle after this one season.
Not both, one or the other, but they both will not be on the team.
I thought you made the announcement of both.
No, I said they both can't be on the team. One has to go. It's going to be either Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson. And my money is on, and here's drum roll. Yeah, that's a better drum roll. I think Russell Wilson is going to be the guy to be traded.
Woo! You guys heard that right there. All right, let's move on to some people that have won championships. Some people that, well, I guess one of them we could consider the Packers of the NBA, right? We can consider him. LeBron James is basically like the Packers. He gets to the championship, but he don't win nothing, right? He's got like what, 4 rings?
Still got 4 rings, 4 and 10.
The other man sitting across from him, the other man we're going to talk about, Tom Brady, has 7, right? Yeah. So my question is you. Tom Brady's 43 years old. LeBron's what, 37?
36?
And it's crazy that I'm even going to ask this. A 43-year-old and a 36-year-old. Which one retires first?
There's no way that it's LeBron James. LeBron could play till he's 43 years old his damn self, and by then Tom Brady will be 50. There ain't no way Tom Brady's gonna outlast LeBron James. But can Tom Brady play another 2 seasons? Yeah, I think he really can. I really think he can, because this last year he had his moments where he saw the age play a factor, but he overcame all that. And when you're going to see the age play a factor most, and this is the case with Drew Brees every single season in the playoffs, when you've thrown the ball 2,000 times that year, including practice and the games, your arm just can't throw anymore. At a certain point, you're just out of juice. We saw it with Peyton Manning a couple years ago. We see it with Drew Brees every year that he tries to play. This year, I expected to see it a little bit with Tom Brady, but he looked better in the playoffs. And that's why I'm confident saying he could play 2 more seasons, 3 more seasons. We could see 46-year-old Tom Brady heading to San Fran and playing for them maybe even in a couple of years. Now, we're looking way into the future now, but because at a certain point, Tampa's not going to be able to afford to keep all these guys around him. So he's going to have to either go down with the ship or move on to a new ship. That's going to have to be his decision, or just retire. At that point in time when they can't keep all these guys around. They're already going to run into issues this offseason. They're going to lose a couple guys this offseason. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Tom Brady to retire first before LeBron James.
So you'd think I'd learn not to bet against Tom Brady, right? And that's why I made sure not to bet against him in the Super Bowl. Like, I picked Tampa Bay to win, but really because of the defense. Man, it just... Tom Brady has to retire first. Like, he just has to. Like, and I don't want to pick, but he just has to. He's 43 years old, as Mike correctly said. Like, and here's the thing that people kind of forget: LeBron has hinted that he wants to be in the NBA by the time Bronny gets the NBA. Bronny is, I think, 16 now, so he has another at least 4 years until he gets the NBA. That puts LeBron at 39, 40. We've seen people like John Stockton played at 40. I think Kareem played 38, 39. And LeBron James is a physical marvel. Like, year 18, and he's still the best player in the NBA. Like, so not slowing down, it would seem. Man, it has to be Tom Brady. This has to be, because by the time Bronny gets in the NBA, that's 3-4 years from now. We're talking about a 47-year-old Tom Brady. Like, really? Like, really? Are we? And by the time, as you said, like, LeBron gets to 43, are we going to see a 50-year-old Tom Brady still flinging the football?
There's no.
Here's my thing against LeBron, though, not playing that much further. Like, at some point, Father Time has to catch up to him. This is a guy in his 18th year, and he's only missed the playoffs, I want to say, 3 times in his previous 17 years. And he's never lost in the first round, so it's always deep playoff runs. He's got to the finals, I want to say 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, he has played in 3 straight Olympics, 2004, 2008, 2012. FIBA World Championships, 2006. And a FIBA America's Cup, which was qualifying for the Olympic Games in 2007. That is a lot of mileage on those tires. At some point, the miracles of modern science cannot continue to drag you along. But yeah, Tom Brady has to retire first.
We have seen, I will say, we have seen LeBron change his game up. He's definitely gone more towards, I don't have to drive in and slam over 3 guys every single time. I can kick the ball out to my teammates. I can become a better shooter. So I will say that he has made changes in his game to where, like you're saying, playing that much basketball, he can start to do it a little bit easier when that day does come where it's like, okay, physically, I can't get up above the rim that high anymore. Joe's going to say Tom Brady just because he loves hot takes.
No. I'm going to say if LeBron wants to keep lasting, he needs to go to the TB12 facility and get some more hints of how to stay. Look, 43 years old is crazy. To be and playing at that, to win a Super Bowl at that age is crazy. So for us to bet against him, I don't know. The only thing, like even for us to bring the topic up and we're still questioning it going, it should be LeBron. It should be. We're not saying, yeah, it's going to be LeBron. We're saying it should be. Right? That just shows what we think of Brady and how many doubters he puts to sleep. But just 2 years ago, wasn't it just a couple of years ago that people were saying LeBron was done. He's going to LA for other adventures. He's not going there to win championships. He's coming to LA for his film career, for everything off the court. And now he's still winning championships over there. So just 2 years ago, they were talking about LeBron being done. And now look where we're at. Now we're like, okay, LeBron can keep going. Yeah, I understand he probably wants to play with his son if he can get there or play against him. That would be interesting. So like you said, that would put him at, what'd you say, 40 years old before his son gets there. And I don't know. If you're a big Madden player, you know that Tom Brady just doesn't retire after his contract with the Bucks. They say he goes on and plays another couple more years. So
Brady?
He goes to 45. He goes to 45 in Madden usually.
So there you go. I don't know. If Tom Brady could stay at the level that he was at the end of the season, not at the beginning of the season, but at the end of the season, and he doesn't take big hits, and they can keep the team together and, partially keep it together and do a run, like say they win the Super Bowl next year, say Buccaneers repeat, or they get close and they do something. You don't think he comes back for one more? Then he's sitting at 44, 45. And then they're right there again. They do the same thing like the Packers do. They're losing the conference championship, and they're right there. Or they go to the Super Bowl and they lose. If Tom Brady doesn't take big hits and he's standing up, dude, I don't ever see him leaving. I know he's saying 45 is where he wants to go, but say he gets to 45 and he still has that competitive edge and he's still playing pretty damn good, I don't see him walking out that door.
If all that lines up and he comes out and publicly says, I'm going to play till 50, I will be a little bit worried about this. I will be a little bit worried because when he says he's going to do something, he tends to do it almost every single time. But we're even looking at 45, 46, 47. I think Braun still has 3 years left at that point when he's hitting those age marks. He's got to go to 50. I think he's got to go to 50 to outlast Braun.
That has me so puzzled as to how do we find the end for Tom Brady? He's never going to go out on a winning note. He's not going to say, he's not going to go without defending the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So it's not a situation. He's going to win a Super Bowl and say, I'm going to come back to defend it. But then can't see Tom Brady also going out on a losing note either. I can't see him going to Super Bowl, losing it, or not getting the Super Bowl and saying, well, that's it for me. No. So when does this guy call it quits? What pushes Tom Brady out the door? I have no idea.
Yeah, if Tom Brady goes 3-13, you're not going to go, all right, see you later. He's going to be like, no, I'm going to come back and I want to win. Then he wins the Super Bowl and he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to defend that shit. Nope, I'm going to come back and we're going to repeat. And then if you see him take a major injury, say next year he comes and he tears his ACL, but Tom Brady's not that kind of guy that goes, I'm going to retire with an injury. No, he's going to come back and be like, I'm going to heal up and I'm going to be right there. So there's no out that we could see. LeBron, you could just see him in a couple of years going, I've been there. I've done everything. I've been to back-to-back championships. I got everything I need. I'm out of here. I'm going to work on. I'm going to watch my son play in the NBA. I'm going to do all this.
I'm about to be
For
one
Brady,
of the
you're
richest
like,
men ever.
I mean, Space Jam. Like, I think LeBron is on the threshold of $1 billion, right?
Yeah. And his shoe and his clothing brands and his brands, they're all going to go their own direction like Jordan's did.
LeBron.
I actually heard I heard, not rumors, but he's looking to take his brand, as you correctly said, in a kind of different direction. I wonder if he actually decides to leave Nike, because you do know that, and shout out to the jersey that you have there in your back, Mike, that there are rumors Kobe Bryant was looking to leave Nike to start his own brand called Black Mamba. I wonder if, who knows?
Braun carries it. That'd be cool. The thing about Brady with me is that he doesn't even have to beat. Like, I think this season he played at like a top 7, top 5 quarterback level still. He doesn't even need to do that. If he could stay within the top 15, he probably could find a roster spot anywhere.
Anywhere. He could find a
starting quarterback spot.
Who's going to say no to Tom Brady?
Exactly.
Besides the San Francisco 49ers, who are probably mad at themselves right now.
Good job, San Fran.
Well, unless you're Bill Belichick, you don't tell Tom Brady no. So, I don't know. Well, Tom Brady plays to 50. Let's just put it here, no, guys. Let's say it on the show, and let's be able to say, at least we said it first. Like Tom Brady plays to 50, and that's whatever.
Tom Brady, So, I mean, it's weird to me because I've been out of high school for a long time. Mike hasn't, but I have. I've been out of high school for a long time. Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls when I was in high school. And so just imagine a couple more, 7 more years on top of that. He'll be – so if Tom Brady plays another until he's 50, he'll basically play since when I was in high school to when my kids were in high school.
Yeah, he also was winning Super Bowls when I was in high school, so –
That's crazy. If you think about it, what other player can we say that about? Like not many.
Yeah.
Like LeBron James was in high school when I was in high school. So they were talking about LeBron James being drafted. And Tom Brady's over there. Well, Justin, I want to thank you for being the first guest on the Welcome to the Warzone show on the Warzone Sports Network. It was a great honor. Justin, you entered the Warzone and you did great. You're welcome back, man, anytime.
Can I put that in my LinkedIn handle that I was the first person in the Welcome to the Warzone Network?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you can. Warzone Sports Network, you guys. This is it. This is the Warzone Sports Network. You guys know Mike, you know me. There's a new show on Wednesday night you guys should check out called Sports Force with Brian Bolstered Up Sports and Joe Skirdo from Turn Up the Jets. Those guys are on Wednesday night. And then check out This Just In. He's live on his every Thursday night on Instagram, right? You go live
with our season pod, and live every Monday on YouTube as well. So please don't miss the show.
So there you guys go. Find Justin Marville on This Just In, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. So he entered the war zone. He did great. Like I said, he's welcome back anytime, especially when he wants to go and take down Mike, because anytime somebody goes after Mike, I love it. Mike, I'll see you on Friday night.
Yep.
Y'all have officially made me old. Y'all have dated me, but I'm not going to date myself on this show because I was not in high school when LeBron James was drafted, nor was I in high school when Tom Brady was first winning titles, or even when he was drafted. So I'll just leave it at that.
Hey, with old age comes good wisdom, right?
I was about to say, you look good. For however old you are, you look good.
Look,
let's just say I'm closer to Tom Brady's age than I am to LeBron.